Meghan Ottolini here at the Boston Herald. I'm joined by political reporter Chris Cassidy. So, Chris, it looks like Republican senators just announced that they are going to delay the procedural vote on the health care bill. Is this a surprise? And can you backtrack us a little bit and talk about the major players, Republican senators, in this whole mix-up?
Yeah, it's pretty big news, and it definitely is not what Republicans wanted. They really wanted to have a vote on this thing by the end of this week. They wanted to go on their 4th of July recess with this thing already passed. That doesn't appear like it's going to happen. Mitch McConnell saying it's going to take the vote will take place after July 4th. There's a lot of work that's going to have to be done between then and post July 4th. But you know, the Congressional Budget Office, this nonpartisan agency that kind of crunches the numbers on the bills, came out on Monday with some news saying that there would be 22 million Americans who would no longer have insurance compared to what the current law of Obamacare has. And I think that swayed a few Republicans, certainly Susan Collins of Maine, who now emerges as a pretty big player to try to convince. She said she can't support this, not only could she not support it, she couldn't even support having it be put on the floor of the Senate to be debated. So there were about 4 or 5 Republicans that have emerged over the last couple of days saying that they have real concerns about it. But remember, Republicans have 52-member majority. They could lose 2 Republicans. If they lose more than 2, this thing is not going to pass. It can be 50-50 of Mike Pence, the vice president, who could break a tie. But when you have 4 or 5 Republicans, that's just not good enough. The other thing to keep in mind is that these senators will be going home for this 4th of July recess, going to parades, going to town halls. They're going to be going face to face.
Hearing a lot from their own constituents.
Absolutely. They'll face protesters. They'll probably face some supporters, but a lot of people will be questioning them and saying, I want this, I don't want this. And so that's a lot for them to be dealing with in next week.
So not exactly a relaxing 4th of July weekend for them.
Not at all.
So what does this say about Mitch McConnell's leadership?
This is what Republicans campaigned on, repealing Obamacare. This was something that united Republicans during the campaign. You would think that this would be something that would be a fairly, not easy process, but something that would go a little bit more harmoniously than this. I think it was a pretty ambitious idea to think that Republicans could roll out the plan last week and then within less than 2 weeks be able to pass it and have it go back to the House. So I think from the beginning, the deck was kind of stacked against McConnell. Of course, this was his decision. This was a big gamble. This was a pretty big risk on his part. So in terms of his leadership style, it at least says that he's willing to take a big risk. The question is, what happens when they come back after the 4th?
So you referenced before this kind of horse trading that may be going on behind doors, over the weekend and after the July 4th recess with politicians. Is there any chance that the bill changes, or is it really going to be about changing these Republican senators who are holding out minds?
Yeah, it looks like the bill will probably have to change significantly. I don't know if there's going to be enough for each one of these 5. Again, you probably need 3 of them, but I think that CBO report that came out, the 22 million figure, that's difficult, I think, because that's such a dominating headline and it stays with people. And sort of the longer that this gets discussed, and again, 4th of July, people will be talking about this at their backyard barbecues. People will start forming an opinion on this Senate bill, and they may have to dramatically change some of the pieces, and they may have to come out the following week and say, you know what, legislation is a very ugly process sometimes. We're going to put what we did before behind us, and we're going to come up with this new plan. So it's very possible that there might be sort of a 2.0 or a 3.0 version of this at some point.
Great. Well, Chris, we'll check in with you definitely after this 4th of July recess. Who knows, maybe before if something else big happens. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Sure, you bet.